only at one tree here, but we're going to teach two. Balsam fir, and Fraser fir, all at one spot. However you want to do it. You might have two fact sheets, but it's all one. And what we're going to do is tell you how to tell them apart. And mostly, before we get into the features of it, it's where you're at. If you are in the southern Appalachians above 5,000 feet, that's pretty high, right? That's Mount Rogers, Mount Mitchell, White Top Mountain, Roan Mountain. That's pretty high, okay? If you're above 5,000 feet in the southern Appalachians and you're looking at a fir tree, and we'll describe it in a second, it is Fraser fir. If you're in Canada, Michigan, lake states, okay, there's white spruce growing naturally. Spruce is there, okay? If you're up in that part, it's balsam fir. Because I want to start with that, okay? They don't occur together ever. So one's very in the north, and it's super abundant in the north. And it's super abundant up on, like on top of Mount Mitchell, okay, or shoot, what's our big tall peak? I just said it. Mount Rogers, thank you. Mount Rogers. It's like solid Fraser fir on the top. Okay, so now how do we identify both of them? Okay, so what you want to notice is, it's a fir, okay, suction cups, single needles, but they're nice dark green on the top, two blue bands underneath. So it sounds like hemlock, but then they're not attached like a hemlock with a petiole, they're a suction cup, right? Both of them have that description. They both have a very resinous, reddish-brown bud. The fir buds all look like a bud kind of dipped in wax. It's coated up with resin. They have that. Very clear. This one actually has some cones on it. Fir cones are always in the very top, and they're sticking up at the top. What you might notice if you move your head back and forth are little sticks with a knob on the end of them. See them up there? Those are the disintegrating cones. Little empty stick with a knob on the end. Because fir cones disintegrate up in the tree. That's another way to tell them apart. So one more note you want to get. Fraser fir. There are bracts, B-R-A-C-T. What else had bracts today? Douglas fir. When the cones are on the tree intact, there are bracts that stick out well beyond the scales on Fraser fir. On balsam fir, no bracts. They're there. They're shorter than the cone scale, so you can't see them. That's another difference. And one more very subtle difference, which is not that useful for identifying. Fraser fir has more dense foliage, which make it preferred as a Christmas tree. This is like your Cadillac of a Christmas tree. A white pine is like a Chevy Cavalier. That's a common Christmas tree too. These are not cheap. Lots of people, they grow them. In fact, it's a big ag industry in North Carolina and Southwest Virginia. Fraser fir Christmas tree. They ship them all over the U.S. People in California buy them. They ship them in wax-lined boxes, bag, and mail them overnight. People get their Fraser fir delivered to their porch. But you pay a fair amount for one of those. This was planted as this building or some building had a live Christmas tree, fallen burlap. They just stuck it in the ground. That's how this actually got here. Yeah. So do you understand what's going on? One tree, we're describing two. So now the question is, well, can we get both of them? Well, first, neither of them are native unless we take a trip 5,000 feet up down here, right? And if they were ornamentals and you didn't have like cones to look at, we'd probably we wouldn't announce this, but we'd be taking either. Okay? If they were planted on campus, we would just expect you to put balsam fir or Fraser fir, and we'd accept them both as correct. Now, if you mix the Latin names, you wouldn't. You know, you'd get one part right and the other part wrong, because you really couldn't tell them that much apart. The full, you know, if you see enough of them, I've seen them in Christmas tree plantations where one row's Fraser and one row's balsam, and you can tell them apart if you look at it. There's just, this is way, this might not look very dense right here, but as the branches are more densely covered with needles, and so they prefer them as a Christmas tree, the Fraser. The deal was, well, who knows? How did Fraser Fir get there? What's the deal? Anybody know?
Back when everything was a lot higher and colder way back in the day.
The last ice age, when glaciers pushed way down through Pennsylvania, this whole area had fir trees and spruce trees growing all over. As it recedes and warms, they were left on top of these mountain peaks, where the climate up there is Canadian. It's a boreal forest up there, even though you're in Virginia, North Carolina, even Georgia. You get up high enough. And with that geographical isolation, if you remember your biology, geographical isolation, like our beach and Europe beach, they're slightly different. I believe if balsam fir and Fraser firs like intermingled, they'd all interbreed and there'd just be fir.